We are those of Quo, and we appreciate this well-articulated and thoughtful question about the manifestations and the nature of love and light within the creation, and the inextricable relationship between the two. As has been said, love and light are indeed two sides of the same coin. When considering this metaphor, one can contemplate the not separate nature of these two primal distortions of the law of one, of the infinite one being. One cannot have only one side of the coin, for each coin necessarily is composed of two sides. One can certainly ignore the opposite side, focusing and emphasizing only one side, but for the student seeking balance, it is that both sides of love and light must be examined, for each is always at play, even if, in imbalance, one side is dormant, while the other is more active and manifested. To understand the ever-living, fluid, and non-static balance between these two forces is to integrate within the being more and more of the whole and original creation underneath the miasma of illusion, disguise, and distortion. Love and light are primal, fundamental, the first, so to speak, differentiations from that which was undifferentiated before the advent of the distortion of free will. Upon the emergence of that initial spark which is beyond your concepts and understanding, but which you might understand as a form of self-awareness in the form of the first primal distortion of free will, there arose a focus, a vastly intelligent, unblinking and alive focus that, using this primal operation of free will, began to tap infinity in order to begin its contemplation of its manner of exploration, its universe. Considering the name of that vibration known to you as love, we would commend to the attention of the seeker. For while there are worthwhile distinctions in your understanding regarding love as the second primal distortion, and the love of the heart center, that they share a name, in terms of the best we can make on your English language, is no accident. Among those meaningful semantic illuminations includes the all-embrace, the all-inclusiveness of that second primal distortion, which is the focus of love. Within that focus, nothing, and we repeat nothing, is abhorred. Nothing at this stage of the creation is unintegrated. Everything, all things, insofar as there can be said to be things, are the self, are one. And in this one subtle step down from total undifferentiated unity is the creative principle, not just a love which passively accepts all things as the self, but a love which has the capacity to create, to destroy, to architect a plan, a vision, for as we said, its manner of exploration to create itself in fractal manifestations, in a way of understanding, of manifesting its being of love in all things to come, in all generations of distortions to arise, as we have spoken to you many times through this group over the years. Love is in and is all things, as all things are at once this great focus, this great creative principle and the product of this great focus. And where love seems lacking, it is not that a space within creation has been made where the second primal distortion of love is not present, but rather that great primal energy of love has been distorted so as to create the illusion that there is something other than love. Our point being that those derivative, distorted energies, you may call them hatred or fear or desire to control in the negative sense, are a twisting of that original energy, such that with progress upon the path of self-realization and in the ways of healing, the energy becomes untwisted, undistorted and made transparent, so as to reveal the logos which was already and always there, the logos of which we all are offspring, and simultaneously in the essence of our being are. To return now to the two faces of the coin, the logos alone, shall we say, needs a body, you might say, for the logos at the level of the second primal distortion is unmanifest from your perspective. In order to manifest that plan which it has conceived for its exploration and journey, the free will principle of the logos carries forth into a begetting of light, which on your experiential level, you liken to and synonymize with wisdom. Light itself is, so to speak, a notch down from that logos and principle which is itself a notch down from that spark of awareness, which is itself that first slight but profound tweak of intelligent infinity. Each step, shall we say, is imbued with free will with a sacred purpose to go forth into exploration with a saturation of innate intelligence that is beyond your present levels of comprehension, but which is that from which your own intelligence derives. Love as an unblinking, steady, stable untransient focus, having conceived of its creation, is then a portal through which infinity, exercising its free will, flows into the body of light, and thus, the plan conceived of by this creative principle is made manifest and put into motion with layers upon layers, generations upon generations of further distortions and tweaks and modifications to the plan and the journey upon an experiential level in the laboratory of creation, where each is endowed with all three of these primal distortions beginning at the foundational level with free will, and the creative principle level of the logos, and the manifest level of form as light, and understanding that this is one energy, of love/light, light/love is all things, and is the self. The self pays attention more toward the wholeness of its experience and the recalibration of its vibrations so as to more fully match, we might say, or be congruent with, and merge into that original intelligent energy, of love/light, light/love. To focus exclusively upon love within the self, at the neglect of wisdom or vice versa, is appropriate at certain stages of the evolutionary journey for the seeker through the curriculum of densities. But, to neglect one half of that coin is to be, from the standpoint of the awareness and conscious experience of self, incomplete and unintegrated. As the self learns to hold both of these two sides of the one energy, of intelligent energy and its being in a balanced fashion as seen from the standpoint of the chakras, it creates an open and harmonious pathway for the upward spiraling light to meet and mate with the downward pouring of the infinite all-being, so that the self may more and more manifest that which it has always been, that being the one creator in a more true and authentic, or to put that another way, less distorted fashion. The more that the self awakens and integrates these energies, the more the self becomes transparent to the radiance, the unstoppable radiance of the one which transcends all circumstance, all events, and all stories within the illusion, and becomes a beacon unto others, a beacon not of unique specialness, but of a living reminder of who and what that entity is through the various costumes with which the entity identifies. The creative principle or logos is not an event, shall we say, that happened long ago. Though from the standpoint of time, it may be reasonably said to be so, but is rather your very nature right now. The disciplines of the personality and the practice of love and forgiveness which open the heart to the totality of self, the light and the dark, that opens the gateway to infinity, is an act of discovering the logoic nature of the self. You know yourselves and are to a degree imprisoned by this knowing of yourselves as humans with certain biographies, certain limitations, certain likes and dislikes, quirks, strengths and weaknesses, and all the ways that you identify with the costume and receive reinforcing music from others about who and what the self is. The opening of the gateway is to awaken and make conscious the self which is much closer to eternity, much closer than the roles which you play upon the stage, closer, even, as we had said before, than the oxygen and mixture of air which respires through your system.